I want to welcome everybody to the On the Map podcast. This show is to highlight high school athletes and also give these young athletes a platform to tell their stories as they pursue their dreams in life. No matter what the dream is, remember, this is only the beginning. I'm your host, Coach Paul. That handsome young fellow over there is my co-host, Jay. And as you can see, the man in the middle is not a high school athlete. But what he is a CIF champion. So let me get to today's guest. Today's guest is his second year. This is his second year as a head coach in the city section for Division One, and he was Coach of the Year. He led his team to the third year. Excuse me. Yeah. This is his third year in the city, and he's already won a championship. Let me get to my point right away, man. This is one of the most up and coming coaches in the LA city. He is from King Drew High School right here in Los Angeles, California. Everybody, please welcome Coach Joe Torres to the show. Hey.
Hey, what Coach. Up, Coach?
That's my pleasure, man.
Go ahead.
I'm excited to be here with you guys today and chop it up with you guys.
Hey, man, we can't wait to find out some of these interesting answers we have to some of our questions, man, because honestly, Coach, you came out and you did your damn thing. 3 years startup program, and I gotta say, you put the LA City section on notice that you here.
Yeah,
you are
definitely. Here. I'll get into that a little bit in the episode. Definitely. First of all, like Coach Paul said, I want to extend my congratulations to you and your championship winning team in the year. Congratulations, and thank you for being here on this evening on a Thursday night. So let's jump right into it. Coach, your program is relatively new, as Coach Paul said. It's been around for 3 years. Can you talk about what type of work went into building a program pretty much from scratch?
A lot of dedication and long hours, not being able to go home, setting up the home at the school. A lot. This just to backtrack a little bit. This is actually the second program that I've helped start built. The first program was St. Francis Academy on the East Coast, which is now known as a powerhouse. So
the one in Baltimore?
Yeah, the
one
powerhouse,
in Baltimore. Powerhouse?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so me and Messiah Hallamariam, the head coach that's there, he's my mentor. I call him for a lot of stuff that goes on with me and building this and my success. And you know, I kind of help jumpstart that program over there many years ago. I'm originally from Baltimore, so that's where the ties get into. But yeah, a lot of work, you know, a lot of help from my staff. You know, I have an amazing staff, believe it or not. We had a going joke this year that someone had mentioned on another site that, you know, King Drew had Pop Warner coaches, but, you know, I thought it was kind of funny, and I fueled that to them because every day we would have meetings and I'd be like, yeah, y'all Pop Warner coaches ain't getting it done, man. And it kind of pushed them and made them work harder to kind of push our guys, you know. So I guess the Pop Warner coaches won a city championship, you know, this year. But yeah, building it it wasn't easy, but it wasn't hard to, you know, if you know what you're doing with having a blueprint from St. Francis and just getting into the school and recruiting the school heavy in our first year. You know, King Drew, believe it or not, has a pretty big population. We have about 1,500 kids that go to school here. I have a 10% rule, which is, you know, if you can recruit 10% of the school, you know, the boys, you know, you're talking about if it's 1,500 kids here, it's 750 boys. Let's say 50% is 750 boys. If I can recruit 10% of that 750 and get them to play ball, that's 75 guys. So, you know, that's a team right there.
That is a team.
Hey, Coach, so Jay mentions that your program is fairly new. Can we talk about what was so appealing about King Drew and the opportunity to start up, especially coming back to California from Baltimore? The success you had out there, you could have literally thrown your name in any opening that was out there. Why King Drew?
Well, just to kind of fill it in, I've been in California for about 11 years now, right? So when I left, when I left Baltimore, it was to come out here to actually be the strength and conditioning coordinator and DC at Compton College. So that's originally what
okay.
I came out here for, is to coach college football.
That's what's up.
I played at Compton College in 2003, 2002. So,
Nice.
I had ties with that school. I wanted to help jumpstart it. I'm your coach that don't like going to the easy places, right? I'm the guy, where is it broken so I can fix it, right? That's what I like
Okay.
to do, right? I like rebuilding programs. I like jumpstarting programs. I like building programs, right? So for me, um, when I came out here originally, I did that. The head coach that was there, David Banuelos, which is another one of my mentors. I actually played for him when I was in college, and played for him and Cornell Ward, which was the coach at Compton. Banuelos was the
Mm-hmm.
coach at Pierce College. Which is funny because now he's the head coach at Compton College again now, right? So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so but he got me out here, for the second time around, and he got me going, and he ended up taking a job at Verbum Day. All right, and it was either go
Nice.
back to Baltimore or stay out here, and I ended up staying out here, and I was his DC at Verbum Day.
Okay.
Just to give you a little bit of my background, I was a DC at Verbum Day. I was there for about 3 years, and then I became the head coach at St. Bernard's High School.
Right.
So I was there before it kind of
Okay,
blew
nice.
up. I was getting it
Yeah.
going. I had some kids there. I was sending to college. I was rebirthing that program. Won a league championship over there, and I was getting it going. And then the guy that hired me ended up moving to Washington State to help his daughter out. And they brung another guy in. I'm gonna leave names out. And that guy hired
Yeah.
someone else and
Yeah.
thought that he could do a better
Yeah, I
job.
know.
And as you can see, it blew up and kind of put that school in a disarray for many years. So
Mm-hmm.
the faculty and staff that was there when I was there was kind of upset because I had the program going in the right direction, and
Right.
nothing against the guys that came in after me, it's just, when you mess with fire, sometimes you get burnt, right? So
Absolutely.
Exactly.
from there, I went, COVID had hit, COVID came and it hit, and everyone had took a pause for a little bit, and ended up coming out of COVID. I had got a call from the head coach at Southwest College. The past head coach from Southwest College, and he was looking to rebuild that. Some guys had told him about me and how well of a recruiter I am, and not for high school, but for colleges and getting guys to
Mm-hmm.
Let's
be
clarify that.
to be able to want to play
Got to
for
clarify
the
always.
programs that I'm involved with. And he hired me. And I was a DC, and I recruited for LA Southwest for 2 years. And then one day someone reached out and was like, King Drew's looking to start football, and your name was brought up. And I said no. I said I'm
Oh,
good.
really?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people, I actually said no twice, right? Because
Okay.
I was trying to shoot out. I was trying to really establish myself in college as a college coach and
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and move on and stuff
Okay.
like that. And then someone says, no, you need to come check this school out. And I was like, okay. And I came up to the school and I visited the campus, and I was like, when you look from outside, it just looks like a building, right? And then when you
Right.
walk in,
Yeah.
it shoots up. It's 4 floors, and kids were uniformed, very proper, and you could tell they were about business with academics. I'm walking around the hallways and I'm seeing 6'3", 6'4", just big, huge kids. And I'm just like, whoa. And then he says, you haven't seen anything yet. And he says, come to the basketball game tonight. And then I go to the basketball game later on that night.
Talent.
And, of course, you've heard of Chinadu Oregano, right? The kid,
Yeah.
Yeah.
number 0 to play for us is now with North Carolina.
Yeah.
He's
He's
a
at
freshman.
UNC, yeah.
Yeah, he's a freshman. He's starting on varsity. He's still in the pass, dribbling up the court and just dunking the ball. And I'm like, that dude can go. And he's at like 6'2", and I'm like, what is he, a junior,
Mhm.
senior? And it was like, coach, he's a freshman.
Not freshman.
And I was like, okay, I'll take the job.
Yeah.
I said, I'll take the job.
Wow, that's a
That's
great
awesome.
answer.
Yeah, so that's how
That's
ended,
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I ended up getting of course,
Mhm.
of course you have to go through the interview process and all that stuff,
Right.
but it wasn't just Chinadu. It was a lot of guys on that court, that could really go
Mhm.
and I'm grateful and I'm blessed. This is home, and I don't see myself going anywhere for a while.
That's right.
Wow, coach. Kind of 2 points. A question and a point. My first question is, so for those who don't know, since we haven't told him, originally we were supposed to have Chinadu and your girl come on, but
Yeah.
when we were first starting the show, he was just moving in, and I think actually like the week before or no, the week after I asked him is when he like decommitted and went over to UNC. So it was
Yeah.
just a busy time in his life, so we never actually got him on. And one of the questions I wanted to ask him is like, who or how or what finally was be able to recruit you to play football? And there we go. What is
The
it? Three
answer's
months.
right
3 months
here.
later. 3 months later, I finally get the answer. So that's a cool story. And I mean, Coach Torres, like he's like hitting the dots, man. Like King Drew is not just another public school. It's a medical magnet, right? So it's an upper echelon of kids that are
Yep.
going there, and especially in that area. Like quite honestly, like the Willowbrook area, Watts, the talent is there, So if you could get those kids to stay in and
Yeah,
and go to King Drew, like you guys will be a powerhouse
yeah,
in the LA city and all of
yeah,
SoCal. So those are my two little points right
yeah.
there.
No, Jay, you're absolutely correct, right? Okay. And I also say this: I chased Chin for 6 months.
Wow.
He said, "No, I'm a
Ooh.
hooper. I'm a hooper." And I'm like, "Son, if you don't grow another 6 more inches, you're gonna stick at 6'2",
You're not
6'3".
going nowhere.
You're not a
Yeah,
hooper.
you can be a god. You can be a god at football if you allow me to teach you how to be a. A lot of people don't know he in
Yeah.
his 3 years he racked up 60 sacks. Right, and he set
Yeah, he
the
was always
sack
in like
record.
what, top five?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 He set
Always
I
in the
believe
running.
he set the city record for sacks with 60 in his 3 year career here. If he had one more year, he probably would have put 80 up. And Chin is an awesome guy. He's a great, real.
Hmm.
What I tell a lot of our newer kids now, our ninth and 10th graders, because they all say, "Oh, I want to be Chin, the next Chin," right? That's what we're starting to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
at school. I said Chin put a lot of clothes behind the scene work in. Not only what
Yeah.
he did here,
Yes.
but what he did outside of
Yes.
here to go get that bag. And I remember that
You can tell.
conversation me and him had. I said, "Hey, the world of football is changing, Chin. You can leave high school with some money in your pocket." And he
Yes, sir.
grinded and he ended up getting that. Yeah. And SMU had him,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And then
I
Bill Belichick worked his magic.
The goat said, "Nope, I'll take that."
yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
happens.
If the goat, hey, so Coach Torres saw something in him as a freshman. The goat sees him as sees something in him as a freshman in college. He's going from a excellent and one of the greatest. You're going to be one of the greatest LA City section coach, and that's my opinion. From one of the
Nice.
greatest LA City section coaches to ever do it to one of the greatest coaches to ever do it at the next level. This kid, I can't wait to see him on Sundays.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
I appreciate that. I'm just here trying to help kids get their dream.
Hey, and you're doing a hell of a job.
Yes, you are, coach. In your first year, you were named Coach of the Year by the Los Angeles Chargers, and they sent you to the Super Bowl. Can you talk about what that experience was like?
Yeah, man, you got to go to the Super Bowl. I want to be
Yeah.
you.
You know what? It was surreal, right? And it's funny, I never been to the Super Bowl ever. Never really wanted to go. Right? I enjoy watching it on TV.
Okay.
But when they heard my story, they came to the school and they gave me Coach of the Week, and then they followed up later on, gave me another Coach of the Week, and then they just gave me a call and I spoke. Which now we're at Charger School now, so like they help us out with a lot of stuff. But when I spoke to my guy over there, and he was like, "Look, we love your story. We want you to tell your story. And we want it was a setup because I thought I was just coming out there to talk to the Chargers and tell them my story and everything that's going on at King Drew.
Hmm.
We're on 120th
Oh,
at
okay.
Compton Boulevard. We right in the hood, man. We raising nurses and doctors.
Yeah.
We got some scientists coming out of here. We got great people, and then they boom hit me with a ticket to the Super Bowl. So it was just like, whoa. But it was fun, man. I was sad my team didn't play, but it was a great experience, and it humbled me a little bit, and to push it and even to like kind of win Coach of the Year this year, I try to tell my guys it's not about one person's accomplishment, because everything someone does get the accomplishment for is because of the team, right? I was lucky to go to the Super Bowl, right? But
Right.
all my coaches, if it wasn't for them, I felt kind of like, okay, well, I wish I had a ticket for every last one of my coaches, because it's not me, it's them too. So, and then even with the players, like even with, Ja winning City Player of the Year, right? Yeah, it's a good acclimate for him, but if it wasn't for everybody else, he doesn't get that shine on, right?
Yeah. No, we get it, Coach. Like, it was just something that I read up on it, and I was just like, dude, that's kind of cool. Like, your hard work gets rewarded, but like I feel it like it's a team thing. It's a group. It's a collective thing. So
Yeah.
rightfully so to feel like I wish everybody could have gone. Hey, but this leads me to my next question, because you mentioned Ja winning Player of the Year, right? So it's not every day you get to have a father son duo accomplish what you and Ja did, what you
Mhm.
guys were able to do this year. Can you talk about what it meant for you and your son, not only to win a championship together, but he won Player of the Year and you won Coach of the Year,
Yeah.
all in the same year?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know what? Being able to coach Ja this year was a dream come true, right? So I have four boys, right? And
Okay.
Ja is my third son, right? So my other two boys are in college. They're actually both in the transfer portal now, but one of them played at San Jose State. A lot
Okay.
of people know of him, Joe Torres. He's a big time player coming out, 3-star athlete, and you can look him up. He's a dude, right? So that was the last one I've coached, and it's been some years. So I've always tried to get Ja out here, like just trying to talk to his mom and get him out to the West Coast. He dominated on the East Coast, and and it's no shot towards his high school coaches, but I just felt he wasn't getting his just due, and just know my experience and my track record with a lot of coaches. I'm tapped in with a lot of coaches. I open up my Rolodex, about 200 and some coaches in my phone. I could pick up and say, "Hey, coach," I could, "Hey, Bill,"
Yeah.
what do you think
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
such and such, right?
Yeah.
He's on the board, but being able to coach him this year was a dream come true for me, because I always wanted it. Like, I always wanted to coach
Nice.
Ja, watching his highlights and being like, man, this guy's a guy, and just
Yeah.
being him living in Maryland, because he's only been out here for a year now, and
Right.
actually we would be back-to-back championships, and I'm gonna say this, and they'll probably see this later on and be mad at me, but he was supposed to come last year, and he decided at the last
Ah!
minute to go back home. So we would be back-to-back champs if he would have stayed. Yeah,
Oh,
Wow.
dang. He didn't tell
so
us that.
yeah. He was supposed to be out here. He decided to go back home, and then later on he called me and was like, talked to his mom, and we all agreed like, hey, let's try to give him a better opportunity. West Coast is some ballers out here. You know what I mean? There's a lot
Yeah.
of hype out here. So if you can do it in the DMV area and come
Absolutely.
out here and do what you do here, you're gonna get some calls. Which he has.
Yeah.
It's just the way the transfer portal and everything's working right now. It's kind of hard to get a 25 guy that no one really knows about out, but I
Exactly.
am getting those phone calls. You know what I mean? I am
Yeah.
having people say, "Hey, coach, if we did it at these numbers, I'm going to be calling you in May. I'm going to be calling." So, I had a coach this morning, woke up, and can't say the name of the school, but he's like, "Coach, we
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
him." And he's like, "Just give us another 2 weeks and let's work." It's all about the numbers right now in college.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We see how it's going. Hey, Coach, speaking of that, and you're talking about challenges, so that this leads me to, so I read something when I was doing the research. Like, me and Jay bounce research ideas off each other, right? So I
Yeah.
I was deep diving, and I read something that in your first year, you guys had to practice at a middle school.
In our first, let's say this, we practice today at a park. We practice.
So it's
Wow.
it's still ongoing.
Yeah, we have no facilities
Yeah,
here.
King Drew does not have a football field,
How
right?
okay, so
Nah.
how do you face those challenges? Like, how do you coordinate into something and then turn it into a championship?
Well, like I said, before it all goes back to St. Francis, right?
Okay.
Where people, and let me paint a picture for you, all right?
Right.
St. Francis is one of the oldest historical private schools institutes in the country, older than Cheney University,
Okay.
right? It's
okay.
it's so old and unique, and this is some when you have time, look it up, right? It used to board and house slaves that used to come through and hide there before they moved on to the northern states. So
Okay.
the city of Baltimore cannot knock it down, right? So it's a small little private school, and it's been around so long. Across the street from this private school is a prison.
Wow.
Really?
Right? Literally, you could take a rock and throw it and hit the window of the prison. So we used to,
that is close.
Yes. So we used to leave there when we was at St. Francis, and we would walk 4 to 5 blocks to another middle school in St. Francis in the neighborhood in East Baltimore. And we would walk through 2-3 projects just to practice. So all that prepped me for 2-3 years to do the same thing here. So without having facilities, it's a no worry for me. Yes, I want a turf field. Yes, I want to teach my guys inside leverage, outside leverage. Where's the numbers? The field is 53 yards, not 50. Like, teach them all the basics. Okay, if they're in trips to the right side, where you're lining as the borderline safety or boundary safety, where you're lining up with the goalpost. All those things I can't teach them. That's why a lot of times I love to go throw. I try to find places for us to get on the field. So that's when we're doing our teaching. So I can do everything on the board. Our coaches can do a lot of endos and all that stuff, but we can't wait to get to a field where it's lined up so we can really coach. And yes, to this day, we still do it. We bus every day. We have a system. They have study hall every day, right? And then after study hall, we have lift. So they sign in to study hall, right? After study hall, okay, the manager or whoever the coach is on staff brings that sheet to weight room.
Okay.
And if they aren't on that sheet, you can't lift.
Oh, right? Nice.
So,
okay.
So for me, lift is mandatory. So that's why when you see our guys is jacked up. Like if you ever watch us in 7-on-7s or whatever, we're jacked, right? That's because we love the weight. And you can't play football at King
close and personal.
Right? You can't play King Juve. You can't play football at King Juve if you don't love the weight, right? So they do that. If they're not on the list, they have to have a pass, right? In order to lift. Okay. If you don't lift, you can't practice. So it's 2 steps before you get to the field. So if you get to the field, now the managers have the lift sheet. If you're not on lift sheet, you're in practice. Now we don't send you home. You just you got camp fits. You know, you got some up downs and some stuff that you don't want to do. You don't get football. You don't get the thing that you really want to do. Right. You get the conditioning part.
You got the extra work.
Yeah, the extra work. So that's how we kind of keep the guys in check. That's how we keep them disciplined in doing the things that we're trying to do. And we just keep our mind focused on executing and getting better as athletes and developing. And we don't worry about the facilities, you know. And like I said, we're being blessed, you know. Like I said, by some people, and now winning. And I want more people want to give, and you know, hopefully we'll have a new weight room done by the end of June. You know, we just was blessed with a training training room, which was awesome. You know, that happened today. Yeah. You know, so the kids just see the guys so hyped up about a training room. And I'm like, you guys better stay out of there. We don't want you to, but they were hyped about you. You know,
mess things up.
Yeah.
So before we go on to our next question, some of the things that I've heard, like, you know, everything around here, when you have your ears to the street, it's all rumor mills. But let me tell you, what I've heard is going your way that God is blessing you and your program with, man, it's well-deserved. And I'm glad you guys are receiving your blessings, and I can't wait to see what you guys are able to utilize them to accomplish. Because honestly, Coach, like when I heard about the like the opening today, right? But I heard about some of the other stuff that's coming your way, and dude, that is awesome. Like once that goes through, your program's through the roof, man. Like you guys are winning ships, and you guys got state of the art stuff. I'm sorry, us small guys we can't mess with that.
Yeah. But you know what? I want to give a shout out to my administration. You know,
Yeah.
they're the real
Okay,
goat,
there we go.
right? I tell people all the time when you sit, and I tell coaches to ask me one of my because I think I interview well, right? You know, you sit down, you interview.
Right.
I think I interview well, but you know, at the end of the interview, they always ask you, um, "Do you have any questions?" Right? I tell a lot of coaches to ask certain questions,
Yes.
and one of the questions
Yep.
that you should ask is, "How long are you going to be here?" Because you know,
Yes.
administration jumped from school to school to school, and our
Mm-hmm.
principal and our AP and our AP over athletics and our AD, those guys are the real deal, you know,
Yeah.
and without them, King Drew wouldn't be rolling right now. You know, they've pretty much given me everything I've asked for. You know, they support me very much, very well, and they love it too. You know, they love it too. They're all
That's
football
dope.
guys. So I tell people, you
Yeah.
know, ask questions, ask your administration. Are you going to be here? If you're not, how long? And because you don't want to jump into something, and then you know you have the support, and then the next year they leave, and then someone comes in that don't even like athletics.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
You guys both know as coaches, administration makes or breaks your team, your athletic team. So,
Yeah.
and like as Coach Torres is bringing up, once these facilities come in, everybody in the city section and SoCal needs to watch out because I don't want to say you guys are sleeping giants since you guys are already a champion, but I'm gonna just say you guys are a sleeping giant ready to be the new team to be in SoCal. So I'm super excited to see what happens. So my next question for you is: there's a little bit of conflicting information out there, and I just want to clarify on what league King Drew's going to be in next year. It was announced that you guys applied to be in the Marine League, which me and Coach Paul said, and it's also a consensus best league in the city section, and it didn't go through. But as we were doing our research for the interview, we noticed that on your website, the kingdrew.com or .net states that only the football program will be in the Marine League. Can you clarify that for us?
So it's a couple things, right? You know, and you guys said I could talk my shit, right? You know,
Yeah.
I'll say this, right? You
Watch
know,
out. Okay.
um, we were during last summer. One of the reasons why we won out of the Coliseum League, and it's nothing against the actual league; it's a good league.
Right.
Is we have a big JV program, right? We might actually have fresh soft this year. Okay, last year, the last
Okay,
couple of years,
nice.
Yeah.
and we'll be like the first team in the city to have that, right? You know, because
Right.
mostly everyone, it's a lot of teams in the city section that don't have JV, and now we have so
Just
many
varsity,
JV that
yeah.
we have to split them up. So that's
Yeah.
and it's funny. I was doing actually the numbers yesterday. We have right now in spring ball, we have 67 guys in spring ball right now,
Wow.
and that's not
And
even
now you have
Hey,
the incoming
yeah.
class. Wow.
right? And that's not even counting the incoming class. That's not counting
Right.
anyone
Mm-hmm.
that says, "Hey, I hate my school. I'm going to go over there." Now, people don't believe that. Like, is a people? Oh, Coach Torres is trying to get players. I'm not chasing anybody. I have goons here. I don't need anybody. I have goons
Mm-hmm.
here. Now, my goons have friends. And they have people they went to middle school with. And when they
Friends are the
said,
best
no, I'm
recruiters.
not going to King Jew because you guys are going to suck, right? Now we don't suck. So now they're like, oh, my friend Johnny from, you know, Alabama wants to come over here now, you know, Alabama High
Yeah.
School. And I'm like, okay, well, tell them to fill out the application. It's a process. I have nothing to do with the
Yeah.
process. We're not the typical school where you could just come up and just come in. You have to
Yeah,
apply.
that's true.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
a lot of times I find about kids that's applying after they get accepted. You know, they'll jump in my DM, you know, or they'll send me an email and say, Coach, I got in. Look, ooh, they'll send me the acceptance. And I'm like, great. You know, oh, when, and then the mama hit me up, hey, when can we start? And I'm like, hey, when you get done with that school, you know, summertime or whatever
Yeah.
the situation is. But to answer your question, right, for us, you know, we try our best to take care of what we can only take care of, right?
Okay.
So and what was the second part of the question that you asked?
The second part was if you could clarify if the only the football for King Drew would be in the Marine League because
So
that's what it says on the website.
so this year, what happened was, that's what I was going to, the story, right? So originally in the summertime, we asked to join the league because, the teams in the Coliseum League doesn't have JV teams. Dorsey has one, but every year we beat Dorsey's JV team by 20, 30 points, right? Crenshaw tried to put the team together. And it's, like I said, it's no shots at these guys. It's just the growth of our program, right? Crenshaw has been trying to put teams together, and it's funny. And when you have kids saying, "Coach, they just pulled me out the class," and they're laughing on the field, right? And I'm like, these are kids. This is during the game, and I'm not gonna say what teams, but when you got kids like, they just asked me 2 weeks ago to join football, like, and for me, it's like, that's not put competitive for equity for us. Right. So we want competitive equity. And the only league right now for us is the Marine League. So when I asked my AD and everyone to petition, they was like, "Oh yeah, sure. Come on. And they first told us yes. And then I felt like a week after the championship game, I got a call from my commissioner and my AD, and they were like, yeah, they don't want us in the league anymore. And I was kind of confused. It was told to me why, right? I can't share that, but I just, for me, it was just it was hate. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you want to hold us down, that's fine. At the end of the day, you're still gonna have to see us, because winning Division I was cool, but we really wanted to be in Open last year. So
the Dorsey game slipped away.
Yeah, we were up on them. I have my own thoughts on that game. But, this year is Open, and we're not even talking about championships no more over here. We talk about state over here now, all we're talking about is state.
I love it.
Because we've done that, and I think my team, and let me pause that. The insult to the Marine League was they told us no, but then turned around and accepted our girls' flag football team. So what you read on the website is our girls' flag football team will be the only team this year playing in the Marine League, which is certain things I can't say, right? But if anybody shouldn't be playing in that league, it shouldn't be them, right? I mean, don't grab
that's what I was thinking.
Listen, Coach Sosha has done an amazing job with our girls. I mean, she's the GOAT, right? She's done a great job getting these girls going and competing. So when I say it shouldn't be them playing, it's not because of her, right? It's not because our girls are awesome. I love watching them play, right? It gets me, my hairs are standing up right now just watching them because they're competitive. We've had practices where our JV guys that went against them and went 7-on-7 with the girls, and it's fun, right? Because we try to make it fun.
Right.
We had a small little incident that happened, and the bully tried to bully us, and they bullied the wrong person. Let me say that. And that's the reason why they backtracked. But like our commissioner said, they can't stop us next year in 26 when everything gets realigned. So, we just have to wait one more year, Hopefully we, I don't really care too much about league championships, because I think that's just a patch, right? But we haven't won one yet. So guys will hopefully win one this year, and then, we'll move on. But like I said, we're chasing state.
Hey, so let me clarify. So if you guys weren't picking up what he was putting down, I wasn't taking a shot at the girls' flag football team. There is another team that is currently going through a situation that I feel maybe shouldn't remain in the league. And you know what? I'm just a coach on the outside, and this is just my opinion. Like he said, he can't really say much, so I'm just stating what my opinion is. So I just wanted to clarify before people are like, yo, Coach Paul felt my agreement was I felt that there's another team that should not have the same opportunity that they're going to have next year, because to be honest with you, it's not going to be competitive. So let's get on to the next question since I clarified that.
Yeah, Coach, when the leagues realign, honestly, I'm just going to make it a shoo-in that Kingdra will be in the Marine League in, 2 seasons? It just makes too much sense. Yeah. And I hope common sense will prevail. So I'm just going to assume that you guys are already in the league for 26. What would that mean as a program for you to play in the best league in the city section?
Well, if I'm a tricky guy, right? I tell my players,
Oh,
it's always a gray area, right? You got to find the gray
Mhm.
area and make it happen, right? I don't like taking
okay.
no for an answer. You tell me no, I'm gonna figure out how to get it done, right? So, if you look at our schedule, then I just throw a little bit of our schedule because our schedule is not fully completed yet. But we do play
Yeah.
Here we
Norbine,
go. Okay.
right? We do play Norbine this
Okay.
year, even though they're not the same exact Norbine. We played them last year, but we're in
Yeah.
our second year contract with them, and we play Gardena this year, right? So those are two teams
There we go.
that's in the Marine League that you don't want to
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
send, but we're going to play those guys. So we're halfway in,
Yeah.
right? And then there's one other
Okay.
team that where it hasn't been cemented, stamped yet. Some things have to be moved around, but we could be
Okay.
playing that other school that's also in the Marine League, and we really want them really, really bad. We
Ooh.
really, really want them really bad. Really bad.
Interesting.
Hey, I've never waited
Interesting.
for a schedule with
I
so
know the
much
two
anticipation.
teams, but I won't say.
I'm not gonna even guess. Like, there's only two teams that I would want to see them play. So if you guys follow it like we follow it, you know who he's talking
Yeah,
about. That's as
you
far as
guys
we
can
need to
narrow it
go.
down. If you're
Oh
listening,
man,
narrow it down.
yeah.
It's not too hard.
Because,
Wow, that'll
Oh,
be
I'm excited
and
for that.
I think that'd
that'll
be
be a
good
great
for the
matchup.
city. I think it'd be good for the city.
Hmm.
That'd be
Part of me when I
amazing
took
for the
this
city.
job is really being in the southern section and being in private school. A lot of people talk about how weak the city is. I don't
Hmm.
believe the city's weak. I think I think a lot of schools in the southern section and the private schools, they come and they camp out and they pull our guys, right? They pull our guys from their inner city. I think we just have to reestablish ourselves and continue to grow. And I think people, like, I'm real transparent. I'm an open
Yeah.
book. I mean, if coaches want to know, I've had coaches call me and say, "Hey, coach, how you doing this? Or how you doing that?" And I give it to them. Like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is how you want your guys
Yeah.
recruited. This is what you have to do." Like, I go to clinics. Like, I'm a clinic guy. I go out of state to clinics. And LSU doesn't pay for it, but if you want your program to be successful, you pay for it, right? Use it, create a
Yep.
small business, right? And use it as a write-off. So that's just game right there. And be able to,
Amen. Tell him.
be able to push your kids and elevate your kids. And once your players see you doing things like that, they don't leave. I mean, you might lose one or two, but you're also probably
Yeah.
getting one or two too, right? Other
Yeah.
people are going to want to come from other places. So, I'm excited about the growth of the city. It's funny. The stuff you hear people say, right? They
Yes.
say the whole Marine League, all the coaches quit, right? Because they heard King Drew was coming in.
Yeah,
That's just a joke, by the way, right? They said everyone started
not
resigning
true.
and stuff
Hey,
because,
Not
Twitter
true.
is.
you know,
Hey, Coach, Twitter
Yeah,
is wild.
yeah.
Twitter is
I see
wild.
comments saying like, "Oh, they should abolish the city section." I'm just like, okay,
Oh.
yeah.
that's a little too far, man.
So this is just like, as Coach was joking, but as soon as I saw the denial of, like, right after when they denied it and they said that it wasn't going to go through, like the comments on the feed talking about, oh, the coaches are ducking smoke, because I was just like, yo, Twitter is savage. Like, people out there
Yeah,
just, hey,
Yeah.
the internet is a crazy place to be in.
It's fun. It's
It's fun. It is.
it's fun. I like it. I'm not a shy guy. You know what I mean? I'm 6 foot 300. I'm cool.
Yeah. For sure.
and ready for all the smoke, man. This has been a great interview. As we wrap up the show, me and Coach Paul always like to end it off with these type of questions. What advice would you give to a young coach trying to hop onto the scene?
Well, if you're a young coach and you're looking for a job, call me. I'm not hard to find, as Dion would say.
There you go.
We need coaches over here at King Drew. The amount of kids that's signing up to come here to be a part of our school academically and to be a part of our football program. We need coaches bad. So my advice for a young coach is to get with a good program, with a good head coach that cares. Right. I think some head coaches are full of themselves, right, and they think it's about them, and it should never be about them. It should always be about the program. And go back to your, if you played at your alma mater, go back there, try to start there first and, build a resume. And if that doesn't work, if you just don't like the coach that's there or you're not feeling them, like I said, find a program that you can attach yourself to. I know everyone wants to get paid nowadays, but like I said, St. Francis Academy is a big powerhouse, and I worked there
Right.
for 3-4 years for free.
Wow. Okay.
So it's to me, LUSD, we all know don't pay as much, right? My I can't really say what I want, but if I don't even have my money that I get, I give. Right? I either give it back to the program or I give it to one of my other
That
coaches.
makes sense.
Because I want it to grow, right?
Yeah.
That's how it grows, right? If you're stingy and you're selfish and it's all about you, you're not going to really grow. You might grow 1-2 years, but then it falls off. I'm always looking.
Yeah.
We had coaches that I know at other programs, kind of resigned this year, and I was on the phone calling them, hey, you want to do this? You want to come over here? Come help me? Because the programs that we're at, that me knowing them, the administration wasn't helping them. So I'm like, hey, come here, be a part of this. Because like you guys said, like I am trying to make this a powerhouse, right?
Yeah.
I do want to be. What's the school in Miami? That's in Dade County, the little public school there.
IMG. Oh no, that's the academy.
IMG.
I can't.
What color? What color?
They're green. The colors are green. It's in Miami. Oh my God. They always play the big dog.
Venice. Is
that it? It's not Venice, but Venice is another one, right? Venice, and then
another green school.
like Plant out of Florida, right?
Plant.
Plant is a public school that has great talent every year that flows through.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned
Mario
it earlier.
Williams,
This is a hotbed. Watts, Compton, SoCal, this area that we're in,
Linwood,
is a hotbed for talent. The Boscos, the Mater Days, the Sierra Canyons. It's a middle school kid that I know. He's friends with my youngest son, which is y'all like Ja?
Yeah.
When you see
better
my
than Ja?
Okay.
Hey,
when he step on
that
the
reaction
team,
tells me a lot.
And he's a 7th grader, and he'll be here. He has one more year before he gets here, but he's a dude. I'll say this: he runs in the JOs every year, the Junior Olympics, and he's fast.
Oh, fire!
He's fast, right? But he's friends with that
pew,
kid,
fast?
And that kid,
like that's him.
He's fast. He's lightning.
That's
fast, right? So, but one of his close friends, which lives in Compton, is going to Sierra Canyon, and this is a kid that, he should be with me, right? And I thought he was going to be with me, but, he decided to go to Sierra Canyon. There's no hate, no mad. I love the kid,
Yeah.
Hopefully, it doesn't work out and he comes back home, right? But, that's what's happening. I mean, there's so much talent in this area. I tell my coaches this, and I'll leave you guys with this, right?
All right.
The amount of programs that's in this area is about 3 to 4 programs in this area that have really good talent in it, right? I say let Bosco, let Mater Dei, let the private schools, let Sarah, let them come get their top guys, right? Each program has about, 25 guys on it, right? So if they take the 5 guys, those 4 schools, 5 schools, take their top 5 guys. That leaves us with the remaining 20. So if I got 4 programs and I'm taking the last 20 guys in their program, that's 80 kids every year that's coming to King Drew, and we'll develop them.
Wow. Before Coach Paul gets his little wraps it up. Wow. I just kind of want to send out a public notice. Everybody, every coach, every player, anybody involved in the LA City section for football, watch out, because look, this is the honest truth, and Coach Torres said it multiple times. It's not just that King Drew's located in a good area, as he mentioned, Watts, Willowbrook, Linwood, Compton. It's also a great academic school, so parents will want to send their kids to that school. It's not just a regular school, which I don't really like using that term, but like the parents are going to want to send them Now you add on what a great coach Coach Torres is, they're definitely going to send their kids. I mean,
Hey Jay,
that's all I'll say for now.
Jay,
That's all I'll say for now. Because what's up?
stats, factual. We're ranked higher than 3 of those private schools that I named when it comes to academics.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Yeah,
ranked. Look
exactly.
it up. You can look it up. It's facts.
Oh.
So yeah, I don't want to go on too much longer because I feel like I'm just gonna repeat the same points. But point is, everybody watch out for King Drew football. I could see them as an actual genuine SoCal powerhouse, another destination where these 4 or 5 stars kids will go in a few years. So
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
that's all I'll say.
Hey, so Coach, as we wrap up, we want to thank you for your time. To all our viewers, our subscribers, thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the show, don't forget to hit like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to comment. Thank you to our lovely sponsor, Never Waver Apparel.
Yes, shout out.
I'm your host, Coach Paul. That's my co-host, Jay. And today's guest was Coach Joe Torres from King Drew right here in Los Angeles, California. Y'all stay blessed, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.